What's going on, guys? This is JD Moon, and I'm coming at you guys with just a content. Basically, it's a content release video. Basically, what I'm telling you guys is I'm telling you about the upcoming content I'm gonna be making. I'm actually very, very excited about it. So first, I want to kind of dive in and say like what's the biggest reason why I'm changing up content here. Well, I tried to do the political stuff again, and of course, we are already hit with the what do you call it? The good old takedown that happens by from YouTube. So being that we got hit with the takedown, I went ahead and what I'm doing is I was already thinking about making this content. I just haven't done it yet. It's going to be more along the lines of like talking about my bipolar. You guys know that I'm very open. I'm not one of those people that's like afraid to talk about my issues, because I feel like when people are not open about their issues, then what that does, it creates this paradigm where we have a bunch of people going around and nobody to relate to. And I just don't think that like, whatever. I don't feel like STIs need to be, something that's just not talked about. I don't feel like, what's happened to you sexually should be something that's not talked about. I don't feel like, what your mental health situation is something that should not be talked about. Because when we don't talk about these things, that's what creates these dogmas. Not necessarily dogmas. We teach people it's like, oh, you got to be closed off. You don't want to give that much information out. You don't want to let somebody know that much about you. And it's like, well, why not? What is somebody going to do with that information? And why are you embarrassed about that information? Because somebody might make fun of you. Who cares? Let somebody make fun of you and then just be like, okay, next. You know what I mean? Anyways, so what this is going to be about is the name of the new podcast is going to be coming up. It's going to be called Polar Opposites. My main focus is going to be bipolar, and other like highly misunderstood or basically just misunderstood mental disorders. I don't like the term mental disorder. I've got a completely different view, basically because of the experience I had in September of 2022. So for any of you guys who are new to my channel, I want to remind you guys, please like and subscribe. I want to thank you for being here and listening to what I have to say. I've got some really, really awesome content coming out. I'm super excited about it. But so basically, those who've been watching my channel for a while, you guys know that I have bipolar, and ADHD, depression. Well, it goes with bipolar. So I was diagnosed in 2018, and I went and I did the whole medication thing for a while. I went into an outpatient treatment program, and that mania was actually quite bad. And so I tried a number of different medications, and I remember it was lamotrigine that made me just go, okay, I'm done with these medications, because lamotrigine, I don't know if you guys know what it is. It's an epilepsy medication. So one of the side uses that's not exactly FDA approved is for bipolar depression, and they put me on it, and there's a very rare side effect with that medication, and it can actually cause a chemically induced meningitis. I know. I was like, whoa. I didn't know this until, my doctor told me, she's like, if your neck starts getting very stiff, just get off the medication and call me immediately. And I was like, well, why? And she was like, well, it's a bad thing if your neck goes, neck starts getting stiff. Well, she didn't tell me. So when I get home, I'm already like taking the medicine, for a couple of days. Well, my neck started getting really stiff, and I'm like, the hell? And then I look it up, and I was like, whoa. And, I remember I was like, I just couldn't even turn like to the right or the left. Like, couldn't bend my neck down. And so I quit taking the medication immediately. And then that's when they also had me on like some antipsychotic. They like made me feel like I just took a bunch of doses of LSD, and so like I walked back into this mental hospital. I was in this outpatient program at, and I was like, you know what, dude? I was like, I'm not taking any of this shit. And he was like, what? And I was like, first off, that pill tried to kill me. And this pill, I don't even know what the hell's wrong with it. And he was like, why? What do you mean? I was like, well, every time I take it, I feel like I'm on LSD. Look, if I want to be tripping on LSD, I'm just going to go get some LSD. That's what I told him. I was like, it's far better than that. And, I mean, I'm pretentious like that. Dude. I'm like, you're not going to tell me what's up. Like I'm going to go find out and then tell you that I know what's up. Um, I'm just that kind of person. I like to do my own research. I like to make sure I know, what's going on. I do study medications. Like I've adjusted my, I used to adjust my grandmother's medications when she was on hospice because they had her on all kinds of different meds that were, just interacting with each other. I mean, it was crazy, man. But so, I know that I was like down and I was out for a while, and I know I was gone for what seemed like 4 years. Um, I went through a very, very, very stressful time in my life, guys. But before this time period, I had effectively put my bipolar into what I call remission. I know they'll tell you, oh, you can't put your bipolar in remission. You can't, you can't, this can't, it never goes away. Medication's the only thing. It's all bullshit. Okay. I'm not by any means, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you to go quit your medication. I'm just saying the medication didn't work for me. Um, so I went back to, the tried and true methods that have been, been being used throughout humanity, for as long as history is written. And so basically what I want to do with this podcast is I want to give anybody who's suffering from bipolar, borderline personality disorder, depression, ADHD, I want to give you guys the tool set that I have that allowed me to not have an episode for 4 years. It allowed me to know when I'm triggered, when I'm going into an episode, what I'm feeling as an episode is happening. Um, it's this ability to have this self-awareness that it will change your life. Even if you're not on medication, or even if you are on medication, these practices can still help you immensely. But I know a lot of the different, you know, complaints about the medications. The main one I experienced was the lack of imagination. Your imagination goes away, and effectively, if your imagination goes away, your ability to manifest or create the life that you want kind of goes away with that. And the thing about bipolar is what makes it so beautiful in a lot of aspects is that we have this beautiful imagination. We can just pull things out of the air and create it. And I feel like that is a big major part of bipolar. And so what people need to understand is that, in order to accept yourself, you have to understand you can't change yourself. Um, Yourself just changes as it goes along. As you kind of just gain wisdom, you just change. And there's nothing that you can force. It's nothing that you can make happen quicker. It's just, sorry if I'm a little stuffy, guys. I've had a cold, so it's going away, but it's still annoying. Um, and like understanding this about yourself, about understanding the fact that you know there is no such thing as a perfect you. You're already that perfect you, but that's because you're failing to realize that your mind understands in a dualistic style of understanding, meaning that there has to be something that it can compare something to in order for something else to be there. So in other words, that is to say, like if there was a picture right here, right, the only way that we can understand this picture that would be here is the space that's around the picture. And same thing with the space. We would know the space was there if the picture wasn't there. That's what it is to have a dualistic mindset. And so understanding that about yourself will really help you to understand, that perfection and imperfection require each other to exist. That's where the Taoists came up with that. That's where the yin yang comes from. The yin yang understanding is understanding that everything has a equal opposite, and they require each other to exist. Much like, we can't go anywhere without our environment. Like when we go up into space, we have to take our environment with us. Otherwise we die. And so, understanding these fundamental things about yourself will help you to also understand the world and the universe. And it'll allow you to better understand, like for instance, if you believe in God, it'll give you the capability to better understand God and allow you to escape the religious dogmas that plague our society. And if arguably, in my understanding, has kept us in the dark ages. Um, you know, just learning about yourself really opens your eyes to who and what you really are, what actually makes sense. Um, it kind of allows you to understand that like magic in a sense is real. What I mean by magic is like not we're not like Harry Pottering it up, and like going out and like be like but, just like blowing something across the room. What I mean by magic is your ability to set creation in motion. And that's what it is to manifest. And so to manifest, it's basically having this image of what you want in your life, who you want in your life, the kind of partner you want, whatever the case may be, whatever you might want. If you sit there and you take that time and you meditate on that and you envision that every day, it will just come to you. I've learned this over the years because I've manifested success into my life so many times, and for a long time I didn't know how I was doing it, because opportunity would just appear, and I wasn't doing anything special. I wasn't really going out and doing anything extra, normal that I wouldn't normally do. I was just thinking and planning and thinking about my life and planning like, man, what would I like to do? And I was really giving these things thought. And I didn't realize that is, in essence, the key to manifestation is looking at your life and just thinking about it. Just looking at yourself and thinking about you. And you'll start to manifest qualities in yourself that you've always wanted or whatever. I mean, that goes back to the ancient doctrines that, were essentially turned into blasphemy from translation. But when there's that misunderstanding of what it is to be made in God's image, like God is not a man. That's where I find like the big lies that come from Christianity. They took a story of a man who is a mystic and was destroying the church because he was teaching people that they're God. He was teaching people that God is already in them. Their temple is their body. Meaning that you don't need any external source to get to God. That's what they were teaching him. So inevitably what that does, or that's what he was teaching everybody. So what that does, that removes the rabbi from the equation. Well, if you can get to God and have this conversation with God yourself, why the hell do you need this rabbi? You don't. And that was the whole thing. So, I mean, if you look at Christianity, it just doesn't make sense. Why would the rabbis kill the person they were waiting for? And he was out committing miracles. That's the part of the story that's bullshit. That's not why they killed him. And I believe that a lot of, Romans back before they converted to Catholicism, I think they knew this. I think they knew that like the world's not going to buy into a story about, the Messiah comes and they kill him. So we have to like really, really make this, basically they grasped for straws, and that's why that's where they lost me, was the fact that like there's just a lot of things in the story that just don't make sense. Now that's not me saying that Christ wasn't a real man. I absolutely believe he was a real man. I think that what they wrote in the Bible as to why he died was way, way, way off. Anyways, so that's not here nor there. I digress. That's actually I'm writing a book on that. It's a thesis that I had from college. So I'm writing a book on that. I'm also writing a book on this very topic here about basically I want to just tell people my story. I want to tell people how I was able to do what I was told was impossible. Because if I can do it, then anybody else can do it. And I want to just provide inspiration for people who might struggle with these things, or people who are they just need to relate to somebody who's went through similar experience. I've been through a lot of things in my life. I've had a very, very hard life. My life has not been easy by any means. A lot of people, because they see the family I have now, and they see like the blessings that I have now, and so they assume that I've always had this very easy life, that I was just always given everything. That has never been the case with me. I moved out on my own when I was 15 years old, and I ran away. My stepfather was going through a lot of problems, and his parents were dying, became very abusive, and I was the one who took a lot of the brunt of it. So I left, And, I don't hold anything against him. I mean, he's a great man. He is my dad. He raised me from a child, and really helped instill a very, very stand up moral compass in me, which I attribute to my mom and my father. Primarily the giving heart that I have. I will give to anybody, because I just believe in everyone. I believe that everybody is innately good, and I think that everyone, you know, should have a fair chance. But the lessons that I've learned in the recent past has shown me that like I have to definitely watch out for red flags. It's something I just never did before. It's something I always just like. I used to just blow people off if they gave me a red flag, and then something in me changed when I got in my midlife. When I hit like my 30s, something in me just changed, and I started realizing that like you don't go out and you don't meet as many people as you used to. Friends are a lot harder to come by. Mates are a lot harder to come by. I spent a lot of time alone, understanding myself and kind of learning what I wanted in a mate. You know, and sadly, I was deceived by somebody who showed me everything that I wanted in someone, and then just turned around and completely became the opposite. And just really had a hand in destroying my life. And as soon as it came time for cleanup time, she was out the door, wheels burning quick. Had just nowhere to be found. Didn't want anything to do with me. Um, you know, it just that's very sad that anyone would do that to anybody. Not just that it was done to me. It's the fact that anybody would think that kind of behavior is acceptable, because it's not. And then to turn around and blame it on, like, oh, well, I've got BPD or what. I don't give a shit what you have. I got bipolar. And but my bipolar doesn't affect anybody else's life but my own. Okay. It used to affect everybody else's life. That's why I spent a year in solitude to figure out how to make it stop. And for 4 years, I put it in remission. And then I just came under so much fire, over the last 5 years, that it just chipped away. I was a very confident person, and my confidence was built on a very very sound and stable foundation, and it was just beat out of me, through all the trials that I went through, and eventually I just became so exhausted. I just collapsed, and I couldn't function anymore. I spent, months down at my father's house, my dad, my estranged father, and spent some time out on his yacht for months. I was gone with my dog, and I just sat out there and I went fishing, you know. I just I did look back at everything and go like, man, what happened? And it was almost like so much craziness had happened in my mind that I just I couldn't even remember my parts of my childhood I knew I used to be able to remember. It was very weird. It was like somebody like had attacked my memory, or was like trying to make me forget stuff. Um, I just and I couldn't understand why. You know, I worked so hard to make myself a better person, and I know I'm a catch. You know what I mean? Like, I had a lot that I brought to the table. I was very successful. Um, I was due to I was going to end up inheriting a home and all this, you know, as long as my finances were right, and I was able to take the money out that I needed to, and I was on the direction to do that, and I just allowed myself to be deterred by this woman, and completely lost the house and lost all my assets. I mean, I was just so blinded because I was just not remembering what I was doing. I got knocked off the path somehow, and I just went left. And I don't even know why. Um, I just got so depressed and so down, and it just I don't wish that kind of pain on anybody. Okay, I just want to be very clear. And so that leads me to tell you, like, this is why I decided to make this podcast that I'm revealing to you guys today. Um, I decided to make it. I was called to by what I believe. My higher power, I believe, is calling me to do this, and So I'm going to do it. I'm really doing it good. We're going to have, I'm going to have bullet points. I'm going to scripts. Every episode is going to be very, very much, planned out, because not only is this going in a podcast, it's going in a book. And so I'll keep you guys posted on when I'm going to release my 2 books. I got 2 books I'm working on, so like I said, there's just enormous amount of work coming. And I'm really excited for it. I'm gonna bring some collaborations coming in. I want to talk to some people from all over the world, and get their take on abuse, on different mental stuff, because I know that there's a lot of people on antidepressants. I'm highly against them. When it comes to narcotics, we know exactly what they do. We have a very good understanding of how they affect the body and the detriments they cause over time. However, when we're talking about SSRIs, MAOIs and all that stuff, we know very little about these drugs, and they're messing with the psyche. And I firmly believe that a lot of the reason why my generation is so fucked up, yes, I am a millennial. I'm right at the beginning. So that's why I have that really strong work ethic, and I don't feel entitled about anything. Um, you know, but that generation, it's just so fucked up, and I attribute a lot of that due on part to antidepressants, birth control. You know, when you start jacking with people's hormones, we have no idea what it's going to do. That was, we're just now seeing the side effects of that now, and when you tank people up on these SSRIs, we don't know how they're going to affect somebody in, way down the line. you know um and we don't know. There's so many different people out there. You have general practitioners that are prescribing these. For one, they're giving bipolar patients antidepressants, which is what happened to me, and I was going manic all the time. But like a crazy man. I was like freaking out, man. And so it's just time for this information to just come to the mainstream. I think it's time that we talk about spirituality. We talk about the energies around us that we can't see. We talk about the divine and their effect on our consciousness, because I believe that bipolar isn't actually an illness. I think that what we mistake for an illness is the equal opposite of the benefits that we get with the disorder. Because every person I've ever met with bipolar is a genius. On top of that, they have this amazing imagination and ability to create or act or just do something that is so creative and beautiful. That's why, like, these wonderful people, the lead singer from Soundgarden, the lead singer from Linkin Park, Chester, Robin Williams, Carrie Fisher, all these people are just amazing artists, and they all had bipolar, and it's very sad about the late Robin Williams and Chester and I forget the guy's name from Soundgarden, which is some of my favorite bands. And Kurt Cobain, all killing himself, and what do they all have in common? They were all medicated, because it's not unknown to the medical community that it's easier to handle bipolar when they're depressed than it is to handle them while they're manic. I have kept myself in what's called a hypomanic state most of my life. I find, what's amazing about the hypomanic state is it allows you imagination, something you don't get when you're depressed. You have no drive. You lack. You're tired. And every person I see on bipolar medication, that is their experience. Their intuition's gone. Their imagination's gone, and their drive or ability to do anything's gone. And so that's the whole point of this podcast. I want to talk about numerology, spirituality, its effects on us, and things like that, and how I took all of those pieces and I put them together, and I did exactly what every doctor I talked to said I wasn't going to be able to do. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you like what I post in here, don't forget, hit the like and subscribe. I just want to let everybody know that I will be releasing the first episode on Monday. We'll be talking about that then, and I'm super excited. I can't wait to show you guys this just new creation that I have. I really think it's going to do well, and I think that anybody who needs to take anything from it will be able to. I did that because we're moving away from politics for a moment, because second, third video, and it's already been taken down. So this was already something I had in the works. I just wasn't going to put it out yet, but we're just going to go ahead. We're just going to pull the trigger. So we only have a warning, so we can definitely, I can still work on that partnership. So keep that in mind. So yeah, if you guys want to help out with that, don't forget, like all my videos. If you want to help out with the, financially with the podcast, you can definitely hit the donation link either on the YouTube channel or on the videos page. As well as if you gamble, you're welcome to sign up for a stake.us account under my link it's also on the page and on the video. And if you do that, any money that you put on and you go wager on that casino, that gives me a kickback. So if you do decide to do that, I would greatly appreciate it, and that'd be awesome. And yeah, so as without further ado, also actually word of mouth is big for me, because I did lose the partnership, and so that's why I had to go back to work. But right now I've got the time to really focus on this. So, spread the word, get the stuff out for me. Help me get this stuff out there. So that way, I can focus solely on content. I can build a better podcast. I've got a lot of podcasts in mind that I want to build, and I just want to get that stuff going. And I really, really think that you guys are going to like this stuff that I'm going to be putting out there. So anyways, like I said, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. And yeah, y'all be easy.